Hey everyone, I'm Colleen Campbell. I hope you had a delightful weekend despite all the heat that we're dealing with. It just popped up on top of the area we were just talking about. So Cedar Springs or City, we cannot stress this enough. You should be in your safe spot right now. We do have this area of high pressure that's going to kind of extend, and that will drive in the heat for the start of the week. This leading edge here, this is what we have to pay particular attention to. Right now it has started to smooth out a little bit. This gentleman's climbing over what was once the storefront. The windows are gone, the roof is ripped off, the metal that overlaid the roof completely twisted around. So this storm really did significant damage. Cooler air that's drier too, pulling in from the Rockies. And that's a bad setup. It's basically like a brother or sister on a long car ride, don't want to get along. It's two air masses that don't agree. Really digging into our region, and that's going to increase those upper level winds. We have upper level winds that are increasing a little bit faster. We can start to get some rotation. As we look at the warm Gulf water, well, look at the winds too. You see those wind sector, those arrows that I have there. We're getting that flow right off the Gulf. And just a few feet away from that mom and pop shop, this is what's left. Cars crushed, trees thrown about, and power lines down. Norman Lane is one of the areas hit the hardest in Houston County. The calls for help started coming in early this morning as high water swept through Longview's downtown section. We also had a very strong debris signature outside of Dotson. Winds are currently 40 miles per hour. Once those winds get to 38 miles per hour or less, it will be considered a tropical depression. So that means a storm is weakening. The steeple is no longer visible. It's tarped over. So where is it? Well, if you follow me, you just go a couple feet here and you can see it actually landed in the side yard. Right now, the latest track has it hugging the coast. This is Haley Clark. She's the manager of the store where the storm ripped through last night. Haley, you said luckily everybody got out of the store just in time around 9:30 or so.
What's your favorite ice cream?
I love all flavors, but I'm a classic cookies and cream girl, mint chocolate chip.
Okay.
Hey everyone, I'm Colleen Campbell. I hope you had a delightful weekend despite all the heat that we're dealing with. All right, I have some good news for some of us. We do have a stalled out frontal boundary that wants to sink into our region. It could produce an isolated rainstorm by dawn tomorrow morning, but only for some of us. It's likely going to be areas along and north of I-30, which only covers a small of our East Texas counties or area, about 20% of our area. So it's not a rain that will be widespread, but again, we've been so dry that any rain in any part of the region, we're open to it. It looks like the Arklatex and Arkla Mists will likely have most of these storms. You can see a nice outflow boundary right now, producing some hefty storms out by Arkansas. But in our area, the last 3 hours, we've had some clouds, some pop-up showers, very brief, very short-lived, and limited in coverage and duration. You can see those winds really pumping in from the south. We will have a breezy day for tomorrow. We'll get to that in a second. But let's look at these rain shower chances. Here we are tomorrow around 5 a.m. Again, you can't really go off this model too much because it really isn't reading too well as far as where the rain will pop up. And that's because this frontal boundary is very weak. So again, I'm saying for areas along and north of I-30, which is basically around Mount Pleasant, Sulphur Springs, Emory, Mineola, Gilmer, Jefferson, Linden, you get the idea, basically north of Tyler. Best opportunity to see a rainstorm. That's not to say the rest of us won't see anything. If we do, fantastic. We also could have a pop-up in the afternoon during the peak heating hours, but again, it would be fairly isolated, not the widespread rain that we're hoping and wishing for. Forecasted overnight lows in the upper 70s, lower 80s. That means it will be a muggy morning tomorrow because we have high dew points as well. And then forecasted afternoon temperatures for our Monday in the triple digits, the lower hundreds, very similar to what we had for today, if not that, in the upper 90s. Of course, we have another heat advisory. Most of East Texas under a heat advisory for tomorrow until 7 p.m. And then we also have an excessive heat warning, same counties as today, Rains, Hopkins, and Van Zant. And again, that goes until 7 p.m. I'll tell you, I'm on a roll here. I got another viewer picture. This is from Dale Hod in Crockett. He said sunset over pasture and his ponds. And man, Dale, that is a great picture picture, I even see, I think, a little cow in the distance enjoying that sunset. So we have Saharan dust this time of the year, which is great for getting a nice aesthetic, beautiful sunset. Not so good for getting precip because the dry dust can eat away at our precip chances. Also, there's burn bans in effect. Don't forget that. Tomorrow will be a breezy day. You can't burn anyway, but wildfires can start and spread very easily when it's hot, dry, and we have winds like this that we're forecasting for tomorrow. Occasional gusts up to 25 miles per hour. Here's your 7-day forecast. A few opportunities for rain tomorrow morning, Thursday, and Friday. Again, pretty isolated, but we'll take whatever comes our way. There it goes. Look, Brett, it just popped up. So it just popped up on top of the area we were just talking about. So Cedar Springs or City, we cannot stress this enough. You should be in your safe spot right now. This is that cell that we were looking at that we said was just outside the polygon. Well, they updated the polygon. The polygon now includes Harrison, Marion, Morris, and Upshur counties. So you need to go ahead and get in your safe place. This has been expanded a little bit further out to the northeast. So this cell is continuing to drive through portions of East Texas, the northeastern portions. This is just one of 3 tornado warnings that we have right now. This leading edge here, this is what we have to pay particular attention to. Right now it has started to smooth out a little bit, but you see anywhere you see little notches like that, we could get a little bit of rotation. And that's why they put this hatching, those diagonal black lines, that's called hatching. In addition to that, we do have the threat of those straight line winds. That's the main concern with this storm system. Absolutely could get an embedded tornado, but you see these bowing segments here right along that squall line. That's where we could get the wind damage. And these winds can be in excess of 75 miles per hour at times. We've seen winds up to 100 miles per hour in previous storms in April. So you really need to take these storms seriously. Hey, Aaron, yes, that is right. We're actually standing inside a home right now that has extensive damage, and it's amazing that nobody was injured. Late last night when that storm came barreling through, the gentleman that owns this property was sitting right here on the couch beside me. That's when a tree came crashing down, and currently the house is elevated thanks to that large tree that basically uprooted and lifted this house onto a platform. The bricks, the facade of the building completely gone. This gentleman's climbing over what was once the storefront. The windows are gone. The roof is ripped off. The metal that overlaid the roof completely twisted around. So this storm really did significant damage all throughout the Crockett area and Houston County. So of course, crews are working hard. Actually, before we go, you can see emergency management pulling up. A couple people donating some water here, likely for the residents. Residents are standing by. A produce truck just pulled up. So again, a couple people said this town is really pulling together and the state pulling together as a whole. And it's just amazing that nobody was killed and there just were a few injuries. So now the cleanup process begins. Hey everyone, thanks for staying up late with us. We had 3 records that were made for today in Tyler, Longview, and Lufkin. Let's check them out. Today's high temperature, 107 for Tyler and Longview, Lufkin 104. This beats those previous records of 104, 106, and 103. So yeah, our expectations were high with all this heat for today. We did have an excessive heat warning after all. So it looks like we have some new records for the books on this very hot day, arguably the hottest day of the season so far. We haven't had many excessive heat warnings, and of course we haven't had many records beat for all 3 areas that we usually keep those records for. So interesting stuff here. Heat advisory, we have another one. This is for tomorrow. Now we still do have an excessive heat warning that's down for Houston County, but everybody else is under that heat advisory where we're expecting heat index values up to 110 for Sunday afternoon. So that expires at 7 p.m. Are we getting any relief over the next couple days? Well, if we look at our upper level pattern, we do have this area of high pressure that's going to kind of extend, and that will drive in the heat for the start of the week. But then we have a summertime front that will drop in come midweek, and that will give us scattered showers and thunderstorms, something that we really could use. So we're looking forward that for to that for Wednesday and Thursday. We have an ozone action day, unhealthy for some. That's for several counties across I-20 there. So really all the counties that cover I-20 except for Van Zandt. What this means is it's unhealthy for some air sensitive groups, anybody with asthma or COPD. You may want to stay inside for tomorrow because ozone pollution will be high. As far as clouds and radar animation, well, the last 3 hours have been quiet here. We do have a nice outflow boundary that's just moving outside of Louisiana and kind of outside of our hair, but it is tied to that summertime front, and we may have an isolated rainstorm pop up tomorrow because that front is sinking down a little bit further to the south. Here's Sunday morning at 5 a.m. We have clearing conditions overnight. As we enter into Sunday afternoon, our temperatures quickly drive into the 90s, and again, we may have a few pop-ups across deep East Texas entering into those peak heating hours. On the 7-day forecast here, brought to you by Baylor Scott & White Texas Spine and Joint Hospital, you do see that we get a little bit of relief come midweek. Until then, our temperatures will be in the lower hundreds, but Wednesday and Thursday, our temperatures finally get knocked back down into the 90s, something that we're looking forward to, but even more so, that rain, we really could use it. If you're a true Texan, it's hard to mistake that sound. A warning siren. Have you ever wondered how these sirens work? Or even better, who activates them? Tyler has 32 of these warning sirens placed throughout the city, and they usually are tested monthly on the first Tuesday of every month around 11 a.m. on quiet weather days, so there's no confusion.
This is only a test.
But the sirens aren't only for storm warnings. Tyler police say that's a misconception.
So there's a lot of different times that we will make the decision to set off the sirens, and one of those is a tornado warning issued for our area from the National Weather Service. They can be for hazmat situations if we were to have a hazmat spill or something like that. The most common use for them, though, is going to be the tornado sirens and these severe weather alerts.
And they're not designed to alert you if you're inside your home.
They are to be heard when you're outside to let you know that you need to go inside and turn to your local news station.
During a severe weather event, they can be a useful tool.
At first, I don't know, I felt like maybe I was losing my hearing for a second because it was like a ringing in your ear when you like hear something loud for too long. But then Ashley knew what it was, and she said we need to go. So we went.
Once I heard that sound, that automatically brought flashbacks of me, you know, just taking cover whenever you hear those sirens, you know, especially loud like that in your ear.
But what if the equipment malfunctions and the siren doesn't sound? A situation that occurred recently in Henderson County.
When we went to set it off, it wouldn't go off. So within just a few minutes, 4 of them were up here trying to manually set it off. So to the best of our knowledge, and we're not experts, but the signal sending part of that operation failed.
In a Facebook post, the City of Chandler's Police Chief Kaylin Rollins explained the city's storm warning system failed to operate, and to replace the system would be a costly repair.
Our city has outgrown the system that we have. We have 2 rotating sirens in town, one on the north, one on the south side of town. A lot of people have asked me why we haven't updated. Mainly it's an extreme cost. To have a system that everybody would be happy with would probably spend well over $200,000-300,000.
That is why meteorologists stress of having more than one way of receiving severe weather information.